Jiren's powers have now been revealed to be on a comparative level to a god of destruction from either of the multiverses competing in the Tournament of Power, but the question lingers, how much of a difference does this make as we continue to roll on in the Tournament of Power, with Jiren having to be equal to a Hakaishin and his chances of winning the tournament, in which involves Goku, Vegeta, and several of the other top tier warriors still being involved in this battle. On today's video, myself and members of the Dragon Ball community are going to be sharing our thoughts and opinions on Jiren's powers having to rival that of a god of destruction, and having to see Jiren's chances in the tournament as he goes face to face with not only Hit, but also Limit Breaker Goku down the line as the tournament continues. And again, I do want to say, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button and enable all notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel, in conjunction to news, information, updates, and spoilers. Hashtag notification squad to be up to date with all the latest in Dragon Ball. So I wanted to go on ahead and take the time to welcome each and every single person here in the Discord to this overall discussion, as we are going to be talking about Jiren having to have his power be revealed and being on par to a god or gods of destruction in Dragon Ball Super. And there is so much to add on to this, because this pretty much changes the entire course of Dragon Ball Super going forward after the Tournament of Power. So Daz, I want to go on ahead and start off with you. I wanted to get your take on your thoughts on Jiren's power having to be finally revealed and being equal to a god of destruction, and having Jiren pretty much be on a comparative level to the Hakaishin, and if you feel that this is going to suit the narrative going further in the tournament with Goku versus Jiren, or do you believe that this is something to where it kind of takes away from Jiren's character? Because many people are saying that Jiren right now just seems like a very one-dimensional character. He doesn't speak, even though that's his style. He doesn't speak according to Toei. He's very cool, calm, and collected. However, he is very proud of his power. So in your opinion, what's your take on Jiren's powers having to be equal to a god of destruction?
Well, thank you for having me on another discussion video.
It's always a pleasure, man.
My opinion is that I'm not really surprised as other people, since this was hinted at many times, and if you just put like 2 and 2 together, all the evidence or facts pointed to Jiren being this dude, this potential dude. So right. I'm not really as hyped for it, but hyped in the sense, okay, we know he can do something. But I agree with you that I don't really like how he has been operating, how he's just been sitting there. At least display something else other than just one-shotting people and standing there the entire tournament. But for me, like, and before you started the stream, Emish was just throwing out some ideas out there and explaining like the whole concept and etc. And in previous videos, Emish has said that it makes sense if Jiren was training like a Hakaishin, basically going under the angelic training to be at this level, or to be the candidate, which makes sense for his power. But for them to just say he is on this level without any other information referencing him being actually trained by an angel, it's kind of like, what's the point? It's like Fallen said, he's just a wall or an obstacle in the tournament, just so Goku can develop without actually being developed prior to get to this point, since the writing, everything is just complete garbage.
Well, I mean, that's only assuming if Goku can even surpass Jiren in terms of like feats.
Well, yeah, but it's like they're still using him as that obstacle for Goku to get to.
But the question is, can he overcome the obstacle?
Personally, I don't. Well, it's Goku, so obviously, but I don't want him to do it now. It's too soon to do this, especially with the way they've been writing the story. It's just, it would be stupid in my opinion, because as I said in your previous video, that Goku and Vegeta now, they haven't been representing the concept of Whis' training, or representing themselves as students of Whis. It's like they go through this training, but their character is just, it just doesn't represent that. So it's like, we haven't seen Goku really, you know, train with Whis up to this point to actually develop him as a fighter and etc. Like Emish and I said the other day that Goku, he has troubles keeping his guard up, but we've never really seen him try to work on this, and you just give him a power up that allows him to disregard having to worry about his weakness. It's like, why do that? So what's the overall direction for Jiren's character going forward after the tournament? Because as of right now, he is, if anything, the only person that we know of right now who's on a definitive god tier with the other Hakaishin. No other fighter can be held to that standard, because we don't know fully as to what Frieza can do, Hit can do, Goku can do fully. And according to Toei's new bio change,
Toppo is not the candidate to be the Hakaishin in the anime, whereas opposed in the manga he is. But now, in replacement to that, we have Jiren having to be on an equal level to the gods. Do you agree or simply disagree with this concept of having Jiren be equal to the gods?
I mean, I'd only agree if he's been under this training and if he is the candidate.
Only if he's been training.
Yeah, because like Emish said earlier before you started, that to train like a Hakaishin means that you can potentially be on their level or not, depending on how far you've been in that training. Like we see Goku and Vegeta, they've been going through the training and they're still not at that level yet, but we know that once they're more developed in this type of training and this type of power, they'll be at that level. But it's like Emish said, it's just you haven't been referenced to be, at this point yet, especially if you acknowledge Beerus as your cap right now, and then to fight somebody who's already there after just saying, oh, I'm still not near this person or this person. It's like, why go back and just disregard what the character has said themselves just to put them on this level? It's like, why?
Okay. Fair enough. I want to go to Fallen. Fallen, if you can hear me, you can go ahead and unmute your mic. What's your take on Jiren having to be equal to the gods? To some, as Daz said, it does come as a surprise because not everyone wanted to believe or make the assumption that Jiren was as powerful as people made him out to be. For some reason, people are saying, oh, he's just very overhyped and overrated when he wasn't doing anything. And now that he's finally doing something, it kind of, puts all the pieces together here. So would you agree or disagree with the concept of him being, as strong as a god? And going forward after the tournament, how does this affect the show as a whole in having a competitor in the actual tournament be as strong as the other Hakaishin watching this battle?
Well, thank you for having me, but like,
always, man.
Let's look at Frieza back in the Frieza arc, in his arc. We know that Goku, Vegeta, and the other Sea Fighters, they had to go through a lot of trouble, and then when they finally got to Frieza, we at least got to see stage 1, 2, 3, and then final form, which was where he just demolished everyone.
Right.
He actually earned his spot of being a strong fighter. We haven't seen what Jiren has done. We haven't seen how the Pride Troopers are. We've seen how some of them fight, but like, what makes Jiren earn that spot? Like, he's just there. He has no personality. I mean, he's just there. He's just an obstacle there.
So in terms of the plot, you don't agree with this concept of Toei allowing him to be as strong as a god then? Or do you agree?
He hasn't earned it. He hasn't, like, his character shows nothing. Like, okay, he's trained. All we've seen him do is just meditate. That's it. Like, oh my god, even Piccolo's done it as well. But like, with the concept of him being a Hakaishin, like, what if you earned? You have no character. There's nothing about your character that's even written and whatnot. What Toei's done, they kind of crammed everything together, right? And then, as well, everything's being rushed faster. So if you had more episodes to develop his character and like give him a personality, then yeah, I can see it happening. But I'm like, in terms of the plot, then where do you go? Like, where do you go with the plot? Like, if there is someone that is equal to a god of destruction, how are you going to introduce another villain? I'm like, are you going to pull stuff from Xenoverse, like Demigra or like the Time Breaks? Like, where do you go from here? Your benchmark was Beerus. You should have stuck with it. In the manga, it made much more sense that Kitella was the person that beat Beerus in a fight, because Beerus has more of a relationship with Kitella than Jiren, because Jiren doesn't have a personality, and plus Beerus doesn't have a relationship with Universe 11 as in Universe 4, as we see in the anime, because like I don't know how to say his name, Vertimon or whatever, doesn't seem to really acknowledge Beerus as like anyone but like a work partner. That's why it just kind of makes no sense. And then you go to Goku, and this guy has no development. His character still stagnated, even though like everyone's being wiped out as they are, and he's still screwing around in this tournament. And now he's getting something that should have been part of his character arc, which was you don't let your guard down. But like, no, he's just gonna get his ass whooped and then get another power boost. That's it.
So how does this affect the outcome of Hit versus Jiren, Hit versus whoever, or just Jiren being a part of this? Because if there's one guy in this tournament who's as strong as a Hakaishin, it's over. And going back to Danny said it a long time ago. He said it himself. He was like, I think, in his own words, I think that Jiren can solo this tournament. And after getting this new information, it doesn't, at this point, it's like, it doesn't really shock me at the matter. But in your opinion, where do you see the outcome of this tournament now going, now that we have a fighter who's equal to a Hakaishin? Like, how does this affect the outcome with Goku, and his new abilities and techniques that he's going to learn as we progress on forward? Is this going to be like a one-sided fight no matter what happens, or do you see somebody actually having some chance against them and possibly winning?
Doesn't matter. None of the fights matter at all. It's just there for entertainment value, because I'm like, okay, so now you have someone that's equal to Gods of Destruction, and none of the fights matter in the grand scheme of things because Jiren will probably just mollywop everyone.
Right.
Whereas if you made him like somewhere around it, because now people are going to be like, well, Jiren's now stronger than Vegito Blue, even though the logic in that makes no logical sense. But like, I'm not going to go power scaling, but it doesn't matter. Vegeta versus Hit doesn't matter. Goku versus Toppo or any other fight does not matter now, because now Jiren will just solo everyone because there is no build-up and he can do whatever he wants, because it's either the writers or it's the editors that just don't know what they're doing. Nothing matters now as long as Jiren's in it. What is going to happen is Goku's going to fight Jiren, lose round 1, get an Aspal power-up, get stronger than ever, and then just beat Jiren. Nothing matters now in this entire arc.
Okay, so far Guest 1 Daz and Guest 2 Fallen have agreed in a similar concept, to where you guys believe that he's a very one-dimensional character. He hasn't earned it. He hasn't done anything to develop or even, you know, obtain this power to begin with, as we saw with other characters like Goku, who's been training for so long. And I think as a character, Toei, you know, pretty much described him as being a very silent, very, like, you know, bland character when it comes to like what he represents on the outside, but when it comes down to combat, he's an entirely different beast. So I wanted to go to scale, and I wanted to ask you personally, what are your thoughts on the concept of Jiren being as strong as a god? Do you agree, or do you disagree, like Fallen and Daz had said in Jiren, the fact that Jiren hasn't really earned this power, or maybe he's just a simple wall in front of Goku just for him to overcome? What's your take on this entire situation, and what's your take on the whole Toppo, I would say, retcon? Because they kind of removed the fact that his original bio stated that he was a candidate, and now it's more or less he's not the candidate, but just simply the leader of the Pride Troopers, and that's all we know as of right now. So what's your take on Jiren and his power is equal to a god, and your whole concept and thought process of Toppo having to be rewritten in an essence to where he's not that candidate in the anime?
Thank you very much for having me, Alex.
Always.
There's nothing that surprises me about they retconning Toppo as being a God of Destruction candidate, because if there is one thing that Super has to sell and bargain, is bad writing. They're very bad at plotting, they're very bad at all of this different stuff, and it's like, I am not surprised that at some point they would introduce a character, a mortal at that, who is either rivals or equals a God of Destruction, which anyone with a brain would know that to deduce that was Jiren. We were only waiting for the official confirmation. And you are a witness, Alex. I have said this many times before. Jiren does not deserve this kind of power for the character that he has. He's too bland of a character. He's the blandest character. He's the most stereotyped alien that they could have come up with. He's the Dragon Ball Super version of the traditional gray alien. But it's like the Gods of Destruction. We don't know exactly what kind of training do you need to get at that level,
or beyond that level. Yeah.
The only thing that we know for sure is that for a mortal to get that strong, because we know that all of the Gods of Destruction were originally mortals. They were not born gods. They had to train with their angels.
Right.
So one of two things pops into mind. Either Jiren trained with Belmont and Kai, and most likely Margarita was his mentor, or they're going to do another Aspal, and they're gonna have Jiren simply having trained for so long. He's so old, he's so experienced, that he simply trained enough to reach that power on his own. And if that second one is true, then that's bullshit. Because that's bullcrap. Because it's like, how come we had people in Universe 7 that trained their asses for years, decades, centuries, millennia, and didn't get on that level? Of course, we don't know how old Jiren is. And the only reason as to why I can see that in the manga Topo is the candidate to be the god of destruction is not Jiren, it's for two things. Either be due to experience, because Topo does seem to be older than Jiren, or it is because Jiren has some kind of personality defect. Like maybe he's too prideful, maybe he's too cocky, maybe he doesn't take things seriously because nothing is a challenge to him, much like Beerus is very lazy at times. So it's like, I can bet you that once he reached that level of power through training, he has never fought once with the Pride Troopers because his power was never necessary.
Well, he was never there for the whole Dispo thing, and you know, more notably enough, it's like the biggest question that we all have is like, okay, we know how strong he is, and for anyone out there who has the IQ of a potato and who doesn't understand, Jiren right now is the biggest threat in this tournament. I'm pretty sure all of you guys can agree. He's the biggest threat. There is nobody, arguably, on a comparative level who can match up to him, with the exception of Goku. Maybe if Thunder was here, he would say hit. But even with that doesn't. I don't think he stands a chance. But my question to you is, where do we go from here? Where do we go with the tournament now that we understand that he's as powerful as a god and he has those capabilities to be on a god tier level? Where does that put him in the tournament? And in your opinion, be honest, do you see Jiren winning with this power?
Well, Alex, the truth is that we could have three scenarios happening. Either Jiren wins despite Goku's transformation,
right,
which is something that I think it would be the most fitting for this, because it would be the least damaging for the story. Because alright, if Jiren is on the level of a god of destruction and Goku breaks his limits and still loses, that means you have not entirely removed the excitement for a rematch between Goku and Beerus, because then you would deduce, Beerus is still too much for Goku, even after he broke his limits. Second, you could have a double knockout in which maybe Goku could outwit Jiren or maybe outmaneuver Jiren. Or three, which would be the most damaging to the story, you have Goku beating Jiren, or in some way, shape, or form, not necessarily overpowering him, but maybe outsmarting him, maybe outmatching him in some way, shape, or form, maybe strategy. Since Goku is going to have to be at least comparable to Jiren in power in order for the fight to even be worth watching, because I'm pretty sure that no Dragon Ball fan, except for a few which want Goku to get mollywopped and get his senses back into him, because he's not taking this shit seriously. He's not taking this tournament as he should be, as seriously as he should be. So in my opinion, I certainly hope that Universe 11 wins the Tournament of Power.
Okay.
And the thing is, Alex, but I do not want Jiren to win. I want Jiren to be the one to teach Goku a lesson. I still want Goku to kind of damage Jiren enough so that someone else wins the Tournament of Power. Because we can all agree that if it is not Jiren and it is not Goku, there are only 4 other people in this tournament which can realistically win the Tournament of Power: Topo, Vegeta, Frieza, and Hit. Because I respect your opinion, Alex, but I don't think that Gohan has any kind of chance of winning this Tournament of Power.
And we're gonna touch up on that, because there are several people that wanna get in like their 2 cents, but ultimately what you're saying is Universe 11, you want them to win, because it seems more suitable because here comes Goku fighting someone who's way stronger and then wins. It's like, that's kind of like cliche. But then again, you tell me when the last time Goku won a Budokai tournament, and never, not let alone the first time we have a massive battle royal involving, you know, various fighters in the tournament, and for him to even win that. So like, you know, Goku has never won anything like that before, and I think that, you know, it really wouldn't hurt the show that bad to see him be one of the last ones in there. But I'm sorry, man, like, a candidate or someone that's on the same tier as a god speaks for itself. And I'm gonna come back to what you just said. Hold your thought on Gohan, because I've seen several people talk about Gohan and saying that, well, this could be it. This could be Gohan's defining moment to rise up and perhaps take the role of what his father did in the tournament and unlocking something different. Emish made a video about that quite a while ago, and I want to touch up on Emish. I don't know if you can hear me, bro. You can go ahead and unmute your mic. What's your take on this? What's your take on Jiren having to be, you know, as equal to a Hakaishin? I saw your comment in my video. You said takes a bow. So is this, you know, a positive bow or a negative bow? And where do you see the outcome of this tournament going now that we understand that, you know, Jiren's true power in being equal to a god has now been revealed? So what's your take on this? Is it a positive or a negative for the show?
Well, me and you did a video talking about this like 3.5 months ago.
Yeah.
We did a video talking about why Jiren could be the mortal stronger than everybody else. But in that same video, we touched up on if he's not that mortal, why he could be candidate to be Hakaishin, right? And I've been saying for quite some time now that Topo is not that guy in the anime. He might be that guy in the manga, but in the anime, they're clearly showcasing Jiren's power. The entire Pride Trooper team, if you want to take Topo's character into consideration and say, well, Topo is the candidate for Hakaishin, you know, in the anime, well, Topo was never trained. The only person to be depicted as training, let alone showcasing that power, is Jiren. They showcased Jiren training one time. Dispo and Topo both said we would need Jiren at a time like this. We would need Jiren for this tournament. Belmod and Kai, they strictly put their faith in Jiren only. They even though they kind of hint at Topo and Dispo, they're more primarily focused with Jiren. The previous showcase, Belmod, you know, using telepathy to communicate with Jiren, which also confirms their relationship and their their closeness. That's another thing that points to that. But I said candidate for Hakaishin. I didn't expect for him to be Hakaishin level. Now, well, Emish, doesn't that necessarily mean the same thing? No, not really, because that still leaves room for growth.
And just hold your thought for a second. King Vinix just said that Goku beat Piccolo in one of the Budokai tournaments. Even if that's the case, I may have forgotten, but you know, looking at it on like from the grand scheme of things, it's like, does he have what it takes now? So going back to what you said, it's like Topo is not the candidate, which I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I've been saying it for forever. Topo's trash. He's not relevant. A Jiren clearly sells more. A Jiren clearly is more intimidating, and he kind of depicts or fits that role based on your typical. Obviously, he's not an antagonist, but he's your opposition, right? His build, his design. When people look at him in Topo for the first time, remember when they first showcased these Pride Troopers in the intro? Nobody talked about Topo. They talked about this big dude with the mustache who's just in the background. He's probably just some side character, just some tank for the team. But then everybody focused on Jiren. Yeah, everybody was like, because he was the hooded fighter, and then they switched it to Topo. Right, and then they still held on to the strength factor of Jiren, rightfully so, being that character in the hood. They should have kept him in the hood to keep us on track. You know what I'm saying? To keep the fan base saying, okay, you know what? Let's just watch this guy. He's next to Belmod for a reason. He's next to the gods for a reason. And then they switch it to Topo. Don't give Topo that the treatment. Still give it to Jiren. And then we are where we are now. Do I agree with it? I mean, this isn't as bad as giving Goku, you know, self-mastery, the master of self-movement. There's nothing, because now what you did was in one arc simultaneously, you introduced a character who is Hakaishin level, right? Whose true power, which we've yet to see, right? Who is said to be at the level of Hakaishin. So now we have Goku who's expected to beat him. I'm not saying he's going to, but the fan base expects Goku to overcome this obstacle in one way, shape, or form, right? And let's say he does. Well, where do you go from here? The thing is, at least Jiren is not that mortal. Because if he was that mortal and then Goku is at that level now, or has to fight him and throws hands with him, it just throws everything out the water. At least with this, there is still some kind of room to grow, right? Because now you have Goku fighting someone who's a Kaishin level, but forget giving him a transformation that gives him equivalent power. Not only do you do that, you give him a fighting tactic that is angel level in terms of Whis' fighting tactics,
Yeah, but
right?
maybe that's the only thing he needs to even be comparative, bro. Because would you say right now that Goku could be comparative,
Nah, I don't
like
think
on a
so.
power basis to Jiren, especially if he's as strong as a god? No. So what
No,
else do you
of course
need?
not.
I mean, maybe the self-mastery technique is just a simple technique that doesn't put him above Jiren in power, but
course.
skill-wise, it's definitely something that can be useful,
yeah,
you know?
but what it comes down to is that, see, the Hakaishin were introduced into the series to, in my opinion, right, have more market value than Jiren ever could.
Yeah.
Like that, if anything, because especially what we saw in the manga, people are wondering, well, why didn't we see anything remotely close to this in the anime?
Yeah.
Why is it that in the manga gods look like gods, but in the anime gods look like jokes? You see what I'm saying? So now it's like, but you have immortal Jiren, who, yes, he's a serious character. I'm not saying I hate his character. I like Jiren. I personally do like him. I don't think he needs that much, like, backstory or character, like a personality. He's just a walking powerhouse. Once again, I feel like he should be a candidate to be Hakaishin. I feel like he meets the requirements to be an Hakaishin, right? Because of his demeanor, he takes things seriously. He's no joke. Like, if you compare him to the other 4 gods, Likir, Arak, Iwan, or Jin, the most he will remind you of is Jin and maybe Likir in terms of their seriousness, especially in terms of their bios. They take their job seriously. So Jiren fits that bill in that regard. But like I said, at least with him being a Hakaishin level, it does still leave room for future arcs. It does kind of, at least put some rest to the whole concept of this mortal being stronger than Hakaishin, On top of that now is that's going to be the next thing. People are going to automatically ask, well, if Jiren is not the mortal, then who is? And are we going to see him in the tournament, right? That's the next thing that we all want to know before we've even seen what Jiren can do in the tournament, before we've even seen what Limit Breaker Goku's going to do in the tournament. Personally, though, like I said, I'm okay with him being a candidate, right? Or regarded as a Hakaishin level. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I really wish they would have capitalized on a potential rematch in some way, shape, or form, the same way they did in the manga, with putting, Vegeta having a sparring match with Beerus. I really wish they would have showcased their relationship more. I really wish, like Dad said earlier, they implement Goku and Vegeta training with Whis on their planet, but they don't implement it to the point where they make you feel like that training had a big impact.
Yeah.
Like common sense, like hardcore Dragon Ball fans will know, well, obviously Goku could not get to that level probably, on his own without the Angel's help. But at the same time, if you look at it, there was really no special training. Like, it's just him, heightening his ki within himself without having, letting it leak from your body, right? That's one thing. Another thing is, that's pretty much the basis of it. And then you have them training with like tons of weights, running through the platform as the platform is disappearing behind you. It's cool. Then they threw him in Whis' staff, which is similar to the hyperbolic time chamber. So there's nothing different compared to Whis' staff, which is, comparing that to the hyperbolic time chamber. There was really nothing different. There was nothing fresh, nothing new. And I really wish they would have done a better job at capitalizing on that tactic. That way now, coming into this deciding moment, to this, historical moment, obviously for Dragon Ball Super, it's going to be a piece of history and a major fight. It really would have added to this. And I think a lot of people would have been, excited walking away into this. But I think, like I said, the reason they're rushing so much now, and we've talked about this before, I think it was yesterday, where you said that Dragon Ball has a great way of introducing things and concepts.
Yeah,
and
great concepts, poor execution towards the end.
But the execution, when it comes down to it towards the end, it's just like, you know what? All right, I don't want to criticize them like that. I don't want to say it's a cash grab. But ultimately, I mean, based on what we saw from the future Trunks arc, Merge Zamasu arc, we saw that. We were hoping, and we said this before the tournament was started. The way they handle this tournament is very sensitive. Like they will really tell you what their intentions are going forward, right? And they give Goku self-mastery, they give Goku new transformation on top of that, they make Jiren Hakaishin level without Goku having to have a rematch or fight another Hakaishin to begin with. So that kind of hurts that thought process about thinking where Goku could potentially fight somebody else who was a god level. Why do that when he's already fought Jiren? Why fight Beerus when he's already fought Jiren, right? Obviously, Beerus may showcase something different in terms of fighting capabilities, but overall what it comes down to is there still a future for this arc? Yes, as long as that mortal is not in the tournament now, I would say.
Because it builds towards something else after, because it's like, okay, well, Goku now has a reason to fight somebody who can potentially be even stronger than Jiren. But the thing dating back to Jiren is like, the way they're making Jiren out to be, I really don't think that Goku is going to definitively beat him in terms of power if by some chance he does learn the technique that Whis was trying to embed in him and Vegeta during the course of their training, I really wouldn't be too upset about it, because what I would be more upset about is seeing Goku not just outclass him in technique, but also power. It's like, okay, you might as well just make him Jesus Christ then. You might as well just make him God and just obliterate, put him above Zeno, make him Toribot then. Just make him erase everybody and do it, do those kind of things. But
and before people start saying, "Oh, you're disrespecting my religion."
No, absolutely not. But what we're saying is Goku is being placed on a pedestal right now to where he is, it's clear as day, he surpasses everyone on his team. I don't know who else can disagree. He surpasses everyone on his team. If he does break his limits in achieving a power that rivals the gods or surpasses them, then he also surpasses the gods. What's next? The angels, the Daishinkan? And I really, what were we going to say?
I mean, I would say the problem here lies that do they jerk Goku off to the point where he's not even... See, because here's the thing. The mastery of self movement, does that come like with the total package? Like, did he master the mastery of self movement, or is it just, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it just something that he has to touch up on?
How do you learn something that you have no full experience on? And remember, he's still active, because we got the remainder spoilers for episodes 112 to 115, I think. He's still active. Khalifa challenges him, and as he's fighting, he's still recuperating. So it's like, okay,
But
take the spear bomb to the face and still survive.
But Jiren has been doing this for X amount of time. That's where it comes down to. You're gonna give experience over Goku transforming, the mastery of self movement, and then that's it. you know, GG no Ri, or will Jiren still pull through because he has more experience with this type of fighting style as opposed to Goku? That's what it comes down to. Because yes, you can master the technique, but who's mastered it longer? I think that's what it comes down to, and that's what's really the only thing left to actually save, you know, Dragon Ball Super from being criticized and critiqued for having no. Because animes, when you watch an anime, the first thing you look for is development and power, and how that person develops into attain this power. Dragon Ball has never really had a reason to do that, because it was the way they handled it in Dragon Ball Z was so great that it didn't really need character development to that extent, right?
Right.
That's why you only have two characters who've really developed majorly since then. You have Vegeta and Piccolo. Nobody else has developed equally, you know, in terms of character development as they have. But coming into Super, all right, here you go, Super Saiyan Rose, Goku Black couldn't fight Goku as Super Saiyan 2, but then he comes back, and in base form he's tanking Super Saiyan Blue. Okay, no problem. Future Trunks, who couldn't even fight Super Saiyan 3 Goku, comes back and he's fighting
Super
Saiyan
Rose. Super Saiyan Rose, who tanks Super Saiyan,
exactly.
Super Saiyan Blue.
Then you have Goku holding off Merge Zamasu in some cases. Okay, no problem. Then we come into a Tournament of Power. You have the Trigger the Danger giving Goku a hard time. They have to use Super Saiyan Blue to fight them when Goku used Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken against Bergamo after providing Bergamo X amount of his energy, which made more sense. And then you come in now, you have Goku's going to transform, have the mastery of self-movement. Then you have Jiren come in now, he's a Kaioken level. Then you have Immortal, who's stronger than even that. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just literally, here you go, guys. You know, let's just give it out. But like I said, I'm still excited. I'm sure everybody else is too. It's just a harmless discussion. You know, we're just talking about it the same way anybody else would any other show. So what it comes down to is, how do they handle Jiren's experience with this fighting style, experience with this power, over Goku, who just literally obtained it by getting his ass kicked by the same person he's supposed to beat anyway. That's what it comes down to.
For me, I'm very excited for this, because even after Goku gets damaged, he's still in this. And I think that I agree with Jiren having this power. I disagree with Goku having to learn self-mastery. I think that they ought to change that up and make it make it even to the point where they're not above each other, but they're to the point where, okay, it's only the one with enough experience and technique that's gonna survive. Because when looking at it in terms of power, I think as of right now, it's clear as day. Jiren to me, I don't know about you guys, Jiren to me is number one when it comes to power, unless Goku's new limit-breaking, you know, power is unleashed to where he's either on a comparative level or higher. So I wanted to go to Dorian. Dorian, I don't know if you can hear me. You can unmute your mic now. What's your take on Jiren in having to have powers equal to a god, and how much do you think this is going to affect the tournament as we continue? In Jiren possibly having to win, in your opinion, or is there some chance that someone out there could still throw him out, in your opinion?
Jiren is way too overpowered for anybody to even touch him at this point. The only person that can even touch him is Goku, like in Limit Breaker. We don't know the actual name yet, but after they gave us like the mastery of self movement, I think that's what he said. they just throw out like a move or a technique, whatever, just to make up for the fact that he lets his guard down a lot, and it's gonna stack Limit Breaker on top of that, just to make him compare like compare like
comparative to him.
Yeah,
but I mean, all right.
to him,
So how, is this a bad thing or a good thing that he's on a comparative level to the gods? Like, do you think, like, because a couple of people said in here they don't like it. They think that it's a cop out. They think that he's very one-dimensional. Would you agree or disagree with this?
I agree, because they're just giving out everything to Goku. Like since the tournament started, they're giving out everything to Goku. Like the entire tournament has been the Goku show.
Well, yeah, it was his idea. Tournament. It was his idea. So it only makes sense. It only makes sense for the tournament to, surround itself around the guy that caused it, because he's the one that called for the tournament, and rightfully so. But going forward, right? Do you think Jiren can win, like, definitively, or do you think that there's some chance that someone out there might ring him out?
It really depends if like Goku can actually win off of power, because nobody's gonna be even touching their power right now. But if Jiren does win, then that will shock everybody. I think if he actually was able to beat Goku, like, it'll probably be based off his skill, because Goku does let his guard down a lot, but they did give him like the master himself moment. But he's still Goku, he's still Goku. But yeah, I think Jiren could beat Goku still, but it's the
still
Goku
stronger.
show, so you never know.
Still strong. Okay. I think that the way they're portraying him, it's like they never once stated that he's stronger. He's just as strong. So I agree to an extent to where I think Jiren can also beat Goku no matter what, unless, as Emish and everyone else said, they're gonna give Goku some sort of angelic power. So I wanted to go to Badass Thug. You've had something to say now for quite some time, and I know you're listening, so you can go ahead and unmute yourself. What's your take on this? What's your take on Jiren's power? Do you agree or disagree with him having to be as strong as a Hakaishin? And what are your overall thoughts going forward in the tournament as Jiren fights off Goku and various other people?
Well, I think that Jiren naturally should.
And you might want to go ahead and turn up your mic, bro, because I can barely hear you. Just let you know on that.
Wait,
but what's your take on all of this?
Well, I feel Jiren should be OP because they need this one dude who Goku always catches up to and eventually has to surpass in order to get a new form. It's like what happened on Namek with Goku with Frieza. They had to introduce a dude who's absolutely wrecking him in order to later get him in form, in order to fight out the androids. It's like, I feel like in the future there's gonna be more people, even more OP than Jiren. Probably mortals as well. Like,
wait, you're saying that it's possible that there might be other mortals stronger than Jiren?
Yes, I think there most likely is.
In the exempt universes, or somewhere that we know of?
Probably in the exempt universes. Otherwise, they wouldn't win the tournament. Obviously, why would we select them? But I wouldn't be surprised if they were. But,
okay, but what does that mean for the tournament now then? Like, what does that mean for Jiren having to be as strong as a god? Like, does he solo this, or is there a chance that someone may throw him out?
He solos everyone until Goku comes, and then Goku gets wrecked, and then Goku comes back and wrecks him.
Wait a minute, so you're saying Goku wins?
The first fight, he loses. The second fight, he wins.
But what do you mean by second fight he wins? I mean, it's not like he's gonna damage Jiren and then leave him laying there and then coming back to him in a third round. Like, when they fight again, and they will fight again, when they fight again, how do you see this going? Is it Goku ringing him out, or is Jiren just gonna mollywop him?
I'd like to actually see Goku lose for once, but like it's gonna be Jiren's gonna get his ass kicked.
Okay, fair enough. So you're saying you agree or disagree with this concept of him being as strong as a god?
I would actually agree, because Goku has to eventually overcome the gods.
Okay. So that's a different opinion as opposed to Scale and Daz and various others. I wanted to go to Danny. Danny, I know you can hear me. You've been a huge supporter of Jiren for quite some time. And what's your take on this? I mean, is this something that surprises you or doesn't surprise you? Do you still stand by that definitive opinion of him winning this by himself? And what's your take now that as we go forward? Like, do you think, in your opinion, that there's literally nobody that can fight or even rival this guy in terms of like throwing him out? Or is there some chance that someone out there is going to just slip up and throw him off guard, even though he may be stronger? all it takes is, you know, for just a single moment for him to drop his guard to ring him out. So like, what's your take on the entire situation of Jiren having to be as strong as a Hakaishin?
Well, I mean, I don't really have an issue with it. I mean,
so you agree?
People will often say, "Oh, he doesn't have a character." That's a bad thing. I've never really thought that somebody of this level, who is sort of the main antagonist or even possibly the possible villain of the final arc, really needs to have a character when they're so overwhelmingly strong. They can just, like what he did to Maji Kaio, he literally just punched the air and sent the dude flying. His actions would speak louder than any words he could possibly say. True. So I don't have an issue with him being sort of a cardboard cutout wall for Goku to get past.
But I mean, but would you say that Goku is going to get past him regardless? Like, or do you think that Jiren is just going to definitively throw him out? Because I made a mistake earlier in forgetting that Goku did beat Piccolo, because I'm completely like just sleep deprived right now from being awake for almost an entire day. But going forward from here, do you see Jiren winning by the end of this, or do you see someone else like Goku, for example, who's the only person that we know that can rival him? I mean, or even coming close. Like who do you see taking this fight?
I mean, Goku has to win.
He has to win?
It would. Well, he has to win in the sense that he's the main character, and that's what's going to happen. Now, it would be interesting to see Jiren win it. It would be interesting to see somebody like Hit win it, even. But Goku's gonna win. It's just, what's the word for it?
Because he has plot on his side. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's pretty much just Goku's gonna win because he's Goku.
So you're calling it right now. You think that Goku's gonna win?
Himself.
So, but that's where you stand. You feel like Goku's still gonna win, regardless of all this stuff happening. He's still gonna win.
I think that since he's gonna go into the transformation, he's gonna get beat around a little, maybe go out of it, then and then go back into it and fight evenly with Jiren and possibly throw him out.
It's a little, I don't know, man. I mean,
or it's gonna be a double ring out, and then it's gonna fall onto Vegeta to finish the tournament and win it for Earth.
Well, I mean, I think Thunder would strongly disagree with you on that. But what about as Scale said? Because Scale said earlier about how it's possible for someone like Gohan to emerge and finally have something involving his character to where he does something for the team and wins. Do you see Gohan doing anything in here, or just no?
I mean, granted, it hasn't been against some of the strongest players, but we've seen Gohan get a little shines in a tournament.
Right.
He did it against that one splitting dude, whoever his name was, that could like create like copies of himself that weren't there or something like that, whatever his name was. But I think that Gohan is definitely going to be a factor eliminating some of the final few people.
Right.
But I'm not gonna say he's gonna eliminate somebody like Hit or even Topo for that matter.
Right.
I think the big fighters, if it's a double ring out, are gonna fall onto Vegeta to clean up.
Okay. I want to get Thunder's thoughts. And Thunder's going to be the most controversial one because he has a way different opinion as opposed to many others. And he's been a very controversial person when it came down to our previous video with the Jiren versus Hit, because he felt as if Hit had the capabilities to withstand and even, you know, potentially keep up with Jiren. But now, Thunder, now that we understand that Jiren is on a comparative level to a Hakaishin, do you agree in your opinion that it's going to be a one-hit wonder for Hit? He's going to get in there and just get destroyed? Or do you feel like, in your opinion, it is possible for even someone like Hit to gradually improve, even from the likes of someone who's as strong as a god, in having a chance in surviving and possibly throwing Jiren out? So, like, what's your take on Jiren having to be as strong as a god? And going forward, even next week, how do you see the outcome of Hit versus Jiren happening with that? Because fighting someone who's as strong as a god, bro, that's no easy feat. It's not going to be like Goku versus Beerus. This is something completely different. So what's your take on that?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that I think Topo's role as a god pretty much doesn't exist at this point.
Yeah,
I think it's for Jiren in the anime now. But this just proves my point with Hit and Jiren. That Hit isn't fodder, okay? If he's clearly, yes, he's probably going to lose now, but like, he's withstanding. He's one-shotted, which proves how strong and durable Hit is, which goes back to other things with like Vegeta and stuff, where like Hit can clearly body Vegeta in a sense. But right. I kind of think that it was expected that Jiren was god level? Because
No, absolutely. And a lot of people in our previous video kind of looked down on you and saying that there's nothing, like literally, there's nothing that Hit can do against someone like Jiren. And that was before we found out that he's as strong as a god. And now that he is as strong as a god, where do you stand now in your boy Hit going forward in the tournament? Because Goku's going to get wrecked in the first round, because based on what's going to happen, he's not wrung out. He's still here. But going into next week, and presumably the week after that, and the week after that, Hit's going to be here. Where do you see all of this heading? Because a lot of people in here are starting to think like, yo, Jiren, if he really wanted to, with that kind of a depth and magnitude and power, he can win this by himself. Do you agree with that concept or disagree?
oh, I do agree. If Jiren was going full out, he could probably win in a sense. But I still stand the same with Hit versus Jiren. That I feel like I don't feel like it's going to be a double knockout. I know Jiren's going to win. But I know Hit's not gonna get one-shotted. I know he's gonna adapt in mid-battle. He's gonna improve. And then I think Jiren's gonna be a little impressed. Like, you know, he's gonna be impressed. Like, yo, this person isn't as garbage as, let's just say, Ribrianne or something like that.
Okay, so I want to go to King Vinix, because I'm pretty sure he probably has something to say about this. Vinix, I wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, Jiren's power having to be rivaling that of a god. Do you agree or disagree? And just as many other people have stated in this conversation, do you see him winning definitively, or do you see someone else approaching him, possibly Goku, and winning the Tournament of Power once it's all said and done?
All right, first of all, Alex, I want to say thank you for having me on your channel, bro.
No problem.
I appreciate it. And the fight between Goku versus Jiren, I kind of see it being a draw, like what Danny said.
A draw?
Or kind of a draw.
I mean,
like,
is this the second fight? Because the first fight, it's not a draw, bro. It's over. Game over.
No, the second fight.
The second fight. Okay.
Yeah, like.
Why? Wow.
Like,
is it because of Goku's new form?
And I'll say it's kind of even with both of them, and then both of them end up getting ringed out. But like, Jiren gets ringed first, which means Universe 7 wins the tournament.
So you think Universe 7 is going to win, just as Danny said it?
By a thread.
So even with Jiren being as strong as a god, you believe in your opinion that he could be wrung out, or at least he is by at least someone from Universe 7. Since the only person here is Goku who can match up to him.
I mean, he can be ringed out, but as far as I know, I don't know how strong Goku's power is. So I'm just saying that it's a draw. I'm saying that they're even because Dragon Ball is super being super.
But then ultimately that'll mean that Goku's also on a comparative level to a Hakaishin, and I don't know how many people feel about that, which is why before we go, I want to open up the floor to all of you guys. If anybody here has anything to say in regards to this overall just information being provided, because I'm reading my comments from the video I posted yesterday about the reveal, and a lot of people are saying, well, don't you think this is kind of an ass pull from Toei in trying to, you know, clean and sweep and throw information at your face relatively fast enough for you to just digest and just, you know, just coming out of the blue without there being any explanation as to how, why, and how long he's been, like, you know, training or doing any sort of training with the gods to reach this level. So if anybody has any thoughts about Jiren's power, drop it right now, because I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts.
Okay, so
Jiren is going to moderate this tournament.
Simple moderate. Oh, it's game, set, match?
Like, okay, what I honestly want to happen, I'm thinking that since it says that Jiren goes after Goku, and after Goku is beaten, he goes after Hit. Like, they aren't challenging him, he's actually going after them. So I'm thinking Vermood might actually have, like, ordered Jiren to take out, like, key players in other universes.
Yeah.
And something that I think might happen is that, they see the rest of the tournament sees Jiren take out like the two other strongest dudes on the arena, and like everybody tries to like work together to take Jiren down. And
so
then
it's like a universal team up.
And then Jiren moderates those motherfuckers.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're not referring to Universe
Only
3,
we
2,
had
and 4
Roshi,
lasting, because those universes are garbage, bro. The only chance I can see is like Universe 6 and 7 teaming up, because let's face facts, 3, 4, and 2 are just trash.
And then we basically get Madara versus.
I'm telling you.
And then we basically get a
there is a
Madara
more
versus
interesting.
We get like
There is
Madara
a more
versus
interesting
Madara.
possibility, though. There is a more interesting possibility, though. we could potentially have a double ring out and the tournament would still be going on. Because if Jiren and Goku are out at some point in the tournament and the tournament is still going on, let's say 15, 20 minutes until the end, you legit do not know who's gonna win. Because now you have the two most powerful warriors out. You presumably still have at least one warrior from universes 6, 7,
Yeah,
and
but
11.
wouldn't
and
the advantage still go to Universe 7 because they have 17 Gohan, Frieza, and Vegeta, whereas opposed to Universe 6 would have Khalifa, Kaba, Kale, and the Namekians, and then over on the Universe 11 side you would only have Dispo and Topo.
No, but I'm not saying that, Alex. I'm not saying that.
No, I know that's making the assumption that
I do not think that these teams will be anywhere as numerous as this. I already told you, if Jiren gets out somehow, if they do an Aspo and they make Jiren lose to Goku, or
the arena just
two of them
collapses
get
from his power.
into a draw or something like that, it is going to fall on Topo's shoulders. And on Dispo's, if Dispo's still there, hold on, Nene, hold on. I'm talking.
Topo gets fucked.
The thing is, I think that the only characters on Universe 7 that have a chance of staying until the end, if Goku gets out, are Vegeta and Frieza. And I'm going to explain why. Gohan and 17, as well as 18 and Piccolo, they're strong guys. They are very competent warriors. But the thing is, they are not going to give 18 and Piccolo the shine. They are not going to give 17 the shine, because 17 has already had his shine. And Gohan has potential to be the most powerful badass one day on the multiverse. But the thing is, one thing that I noticed on 108 that Frieza specified, Gohan's inexperience. That's his Achilles heel. That's what prevents him from being a top 5, top 6 character. He's top 10 in terms of power, but in terms of experience, that's where it lacks. He's going to get eliminated by a very experienced fighter, unless they do an Aspo and they just have him stay there until the end. But otherwise, I would like for this tournament to end up being decided by basically the top fighters of the Tournament of Power, bar Jiren and Goku. Because if you have Jiren and Goku, which are on an entirely different level, that does not, it isn't fun. You need at least 4 or 5 people that are on a comparable level. You can have Topo hit Vegeta and Frieza.
And here's what's gonna blow your mind. As quoted right now by Yanko, as soon as Jiren lets out his ki, everyone on the stage is overwhelmed by his massive energy. Even Beerus is dumbfounded and takes a deep breath of silence.
I am not surprised by that.
Like, okay, can I say something? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, Leo.
That is plotting.
Okay, so what if Jiren doesn't get eliminated and Goku, with like the Mastery of Self movement, is just able to be the person that just keeps Jiren busy for like the rest of the tournament, so that Universe 7 wins by having the most fighters remaining?
Yeah, that's true too. It's not about being the last one, it's about having the most numbers.
That would be interesting.
That would be smart, but I don't think they'll do it though.
I don't think the series would do it, but I do wonder if there are multiple people left on the arena, who gets the wish on the Super Dragon Balls? Does the winning team just take a vote?
It's whoever has
pretty much
Well,
whoever.
actually, no, they deemed it as whoever is the quote-unquote best fighter.
Yeah, the best fighter.
Is that like
we don't know how they're basing that off
eliminations?
of.
Because right now that's Vegeta.
Thunder would disagree on that one.
Thunder?
I saw the screenshots for 109 and 110 already. We know that Frieza is going to be up to something, and we don't know what it is. We know that he's charging up an attack. He's likely watching the fight between Goku and Jiren, and something tells me that they would not introduce Frieza just for him to get cut off. He is going to have a major role, and he's going to use his wits. I'm telling you all right now, Frieza is going to be one of the last people standing in this tournament.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, bro, if Beerus is watching this tournament and he's baffled and dumbfounded as to what the hell Jiren is doing, and he takes a deep breath of silence before shit gets real, I'm sorry, man. Like, you know what? I wouldn't be disappointed if Jiren wins, because if this is the way they're treating him, because everyone's like, oh, god damn it, Goku, new form, new technique, gets bodied at the end, and Jiren wins. I think that it wouldn't be as bad, because it's like, imagine Goku obtaining all this and then winning. It's like, okay, kind of sucks.
Here's the thing, Alec, where would the plot go?
No, what are you saying, Fallen?
Go if Jiren wins.
Well, if he wins, I mean, would that be suitable for the story, or would you say that it's kind of like,
What is salvageable left of this story?
So it's what needs to happen to just maintain with the overall credibility of what this thing has left.
Credibility,
Well,
like,
there is also a part of, like, I mean, Universe 7 still exists at the end of Z.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, they're not. Listen, if anyone out there believes that Universe 7 is gonna get erased, you're on drugs. They're eventually gonna be a part of what's gonna happen later. It's just a matter of like how they're gonna go about this, and this is gonna be a very interesting conversation, because I can't wait to read the comments, because I'm pretty sure everyone in here had so many different things to say, and a lot of people are gonna direct their comments towards you guys in very different ways too. But I wanted to say to all of you guys, thank you all so much for joining me here to talk about, you know, Jiren's potential, because this is something big. People don't understand how big this is, and this is a big thing. So thank you all so much for watching. If you guys agreed or disagreed with some of the people in this Discord, let me know your thoughts about this. If you guys believe it's an ass pull, or if you guys believe that Jiren is going to simply mollywop everybody, post your comments down below. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. Leave a like down below, and I'll be seeing you all later. Take it easy, guys. Peace.